If you're seeing this video, you're most likely already signed up with CobraAlgo.com and you've already submitted your free trial request. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, make sure that you head on over to the CobraAlgo.com website and make sure you sign up for a 3-day trial by entering your TradingView.com username. So once you've done that and you received an email from us saying that we've shared access, you should be all ready to go and follow this tutorial video. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is click on this chart button, and it's just going to load you into the default TradingView chart. In my case, it's going to be on the Apple 1 hour, but yours might be on the 1 day or any other ticker. Basically, I'm just going to be going over TradingView itself just in this segment. So first, you're going to want to go in this top left corner, select the dark color theme, and that's going to just make it so it works better with our algorithm and easier on your eyes as well. Next thing is right click on this price bar and scale price chart only. The last thing you're going to want to do is change this candle type candle type. So right now on default they are candles, but you can change them to Heikin-Ashi to smooth out all of those little gaps and stuff that you find on the regular candles. Of course, this is not required for the algorithm to work, but it's just easier to determine trend, and I find that lots of people use Heikin-Ashi anyways, so make sure that you enable that if that's what you'd like. So after that, you can now see that we have this little top bar. This little bar right here is where you'll be able to search for anything you're interested in. So if I was interested in crypto, I could search my Ethereum USD and it will show up here. Same thing for BTC. It will show up here. You could pick one of these, and then if I'm interested in a stock but I don't know the symbol for it, I could just search regular and it will show up as well. You also have these categories where if you have no function, it will just tell you a bunch of the most popular from each category. So that's how you organize in that way. And the next thing is time frames. So basically, a stock, any markets have time frames, which means that each candle represents that amount of time. So in this case, this candle represented 1 hour of time, and you can see this at the bottom where on this 22nd of January at 17:30, and then the next one would be 18:30, 19:30, and 20:30. So basically, it's just gonna give you 1 hour increments, but obviously a 1 hour chart is going to be very different than the 1 minute chart, for example. So if you are looking to trade or day trade, depending on your liking, you may want to choose different time frames and see how they perform with Cobra Algo itself. So next up, I'll be showing you how to add Cobra itself to the chart, and we'll get started. Next thing you're going to want to do is go to the Indicators tab, and you'll see that there's this little invite only script button. So once you click on that, you'll have Cobra Algo waiting for you in this little menu. If you don't see the invite only scripts, it usually means that you provided us a username that's not yours, or you incorrectly entered the username. So if either of those apply to you, make sure that you head on over to the website again and contact this little green box, and they'll be happy to correct that for you pretty much immediately during business hours. So make sure that you do that and take advantage of that if that's the case. If you're sure that you entered the right username and you haven't misspelled it, make sure that you log out and then log back in, and that should fix everything. So once you're here, click once on the script, and that will load everything for you on TradingView itself. So here we go. This is what Cobra Algo provides to you. So basically it's these signals plus a bunch of other features that are useful for any trader in any circumstance wanting to improve their profit and increase their win rate. So let's get into Cobra Algo's settings. In order to access Cobra Algo's settings, you're going to want to hover over to this little Cobra Algo all-in-one and then select the gear icon. From there, you'll see everything that can be enabled or disabled with Cobra Algo itself. So I will be going over each feature and how you could use it to improve your win rate. some of these features are new since previous updates, so make sure if you're a returning customer that you pay attention in learning how you could improve your win rate even further. Obviously, we have the classic long and short signals. These are renamed from our previous entry or exit signals. Basically, it's just going to improve your confusion. We had many users who didn't realize that you could use this to short as well, using an entry signal, an exit signal. So we decided to make this change. If you hover over this eye icon beside each one of these little enables or disabled toggleables, you can see what they provide and what they could do for you. So basically here it just hides or shows the short and long signals. So if I show that for you, give it a moment, the script will remove all those labels and leave out the rest. So I'll just enable that for now. And then we have the show dashboard. So the dashboard is this little icon here, which basically gives you a bunch of informational activity and stuff you could use for trading and improve as a trader. So let's look at what the tooltip says. So it says that it disables the dashboard and also contains information about signals on other time frames, market direction, volume, RSI values, and the built-in screener. So if we look here, we have the signals on other time frames. So for example, a time frame is what this little icon represents. So basically, I have the 1 hour in this case, so each candle will represent 1 hour of time. So if I look back here, we have the 1 hour, and that's pointing downwards. So if we look at the last signal, it's a short signal. So it means that the last signal on that time frame was a down signal. Obviously, each time frame will have different signals depending on your style of trading. So on a 1 hour chart, you'll definitely have less signals, and it will take a long time between signals, such as here where we got our first signal on the 31st of March, and then the sell signal from that would have been the 20th of April. So quite a bit of time. Obviously, this is considered the swing style of trading, but Cobra Algo accommodates to all traders. So if you want to see signals just at a glance without having to switch through each one of these time frames, you can just check it out here, and if they all correspond, you have a higher chance of that being a winning trade. Next thing is the volume. Basically, it's just going to tell you how many shares were exchanged in the last candle. So if I zoom in here, it's going to tell you that there was 420 million shares exchanged today on the 23rd of April. Next thing is the market direction. So basically, it's going to tell you whether it's ranging or trending. If it's ranging, it means that the underlying asset that you're reviewing is just trading in a range. It's not really moving up or down in any direction, such as in here, we would have had a signal that says trending because it's moving in one direction. Same here and down here, it's moving in one direction, So basically, in periods of consolidation, that's when it's going to say ranging, and that's what, of course, we are in right now. Lastly, we have the RSI value. Basically, RSI is an indicator that lots of people use in using for additional confirmation. So if you find yourself using RSI, you don't have to have that on your chart anymore because it will display the correct value on the dashboard itself. Last thing you can do with the dashboard is you can you can add other stocks that you're looking at, or crypto, or any of futures or forex, stuff like that. So basically, for example, if I want to add Apple, of course, which I'm looking at, and then I want Tesla, and I want the S&P. Let's say I want some Bitcoin, BTC, and Ethereum. How about we go over to an MQ. Let's choose this contract, and then we want a Euro pair, a Japanese pair, and a Great Pound pair. So basically, once I've loaded all those of my favorites, of my top 10 favorites, or 9 or 8, it depends on how many you want to add or not add. So basically, here we're just gonna give you signals for the last signal that was plotted on the corresponding time frame. So if I went over to SPY On the 1 hour chart, I would see that the last signal was actually a long signal. Same thing for, let's say, for Ethereum USD. So if I look at Ethereum USD, for example, it should be a short signal based on the last alert, which once we give this some time to load, you'll see that it will correspond correctly. And there we go. For the purposes of this example, I'll go back to Apple just to show you some features with this chart itself on how to improve your profitability. Next up in the settings itself is the show SNR. SNR stands for support and resistance, which are lines where a reversal may occur based on previous price action. Basically, if you are a trader, you should probably know what support and resistance are, and this is just going to plot those for you automatically. So if I disable it, it should go away in a moment. A second, and there we go, and then we can enable again to show them again. So basically, in this example, I'm just going to show you where support and resistance was an accurate way of determining where it calculated and determined that there would be a reversal point at that point. So in this case, we saw that this line was drawn from this candle, and then it bounced off this line, came back down, kept bouncing off the line, came up, bounced off the line, and then we took off again. This is once again seen here where it drew another line, and we bounced off this line, broke out again. So in this case, if we see here, during the most recent price candles on the 1 hour chart, we can see that there's a reversal forming based on the the resistance line at the top here. So this short signal is still in play, even though it might have had a little pump here. The algorithm still thinks that we're going to be heading down rather than heading up. So in this case, you see that there's this resistance point, and the next price target could be all the way back up to 128 before it makes another bounce. Next thing is the bar color. So basically, these are ways of determining strength and trend based on the color of the candle. So once I enable that and then zoom in, you can see that the algorithm has now changed the colors of the candles themselves. So if you look here, green candle means bullish, white candle means bearish. So if you are in a play, let's say you took this signal, for example, you would have entered on the next candle because the algorithm tells you long here, but you have to wait till the next candle when it will actually show up the alert. And from there, you'd be in the position at the low 130s. From there, you could have held your position all the way because there was no white candles to tell you that the trend may be reversing. And you could have taken profits right before the short signal when it alerted a sell based on the white candle at 142. So you would have been deep in profits at that point. Or if you don't feel like holding through these colored bars, you could just always wait for the next signal. However, these will probably show up late. But if you wait for the next signal, you'll obviously get through all that chop, of course. So in this case, you would have probably gotten out at this point where you could have hit this bottom as well. So it just depends on what type of trader you are and your risk tolerance. In another example, we could have, again, taken this play and got out over here once it turned bearish, but obviously there's a little bit more profits there if you waited for the next signal. So ultimately, it's up to you in determining which style you like. The next thing is the show volatility band. I hover over this, it shows the long-term trend. The flatter the band, the less volatile it will be, and the wider the band, the more volatile the market will be. So basically, in this case, you can see that we got a pretty wide band going throughout. But if we go into the past where areas of low volatility, such as this, we have a very thin band, which indicates there's not much price movement, and basically, it's probably not worth it to trade, honestly. So you could use that in that fashion if you'd like. Next thing we do have here is the show top and bottom finder. So basically, it's just going to indicate possible tops and bottoms where a pullback of the previous trend will occur within the next few candles. So of course, this is not going to be 100% accurate, but it does prove to be useful when backtesting and also using it live, as shown in this example on this Apple 1 hour chart here. So basically, in this case, we got a top signal, and then the trend slowed down, of course. Then we had another slowdown of the trend, possibly another pullback. And then we caught the top here again, and then we have another bottom that pulled up towards the top again. Basically, it's just going to catch these tops and bottoms where a user who's followed the signals can either take off to their position, take off some profits, or add to their position, such as doubling their position if they think that it will indicate another pullback in the direction. So in this example itself, we had a short signal and we had a bottom. So you could have taken out profits here, or kept holding, and once you saw this top signal, and then we have this support, this resistance at the top, we have a good way of determining that this will most likely end up going back towards the 128 level, because we have 1, 2, 3 levels of confirmation in determining that this is most likely to turn bearish instead of bullish, so this signal still applies itself. So it's just another way of adding to your position, or just overall giving you other ways to enter positions quickly if you'd like. Next thing is the dashboard color. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to change the color of the dashboard as you like it. So let's say I like to change it to white. There we go, and we'll change the color there. Next thing is the sensitivity. So basically, out the box, we give you a sensitivity of 40 and 20. Of course, all markets aren't going to perform the same. This is just what we found to work universally for all markets. But if you find that you have lots of false signals in the market that you trade, you can of course change the sensitivity to your liking. So if you hover over this eye icon, you'll see that we give you suggestions for each sensitivity value based on your style of trading, of course. In the default settings, it works for all time frames, so you could use it for the 3 minute, the 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 hour, weekly. It's not going to matter. But if you want to use more precise sensitivities, you should probably stick to the range provided here. So let's say if you're a scalper, it says sensitivity 1 to 5 to 30 and sensitivity 2 to 2 to 20. So an example of this would be changing my sensitivity to 15 and 10, for example. So if you just play around with the sensitivity and find what works good for you based on back-tested results in the past, you should be pretty profitable using this algorithm. Next thing we have is the stop loss and take profit. These are going to be these little points plotted on the chart, and these are going to be percentage based. So once a signal is alerted, it's going to now start to calculate how many percentage points it's been since that last signal. So we've had users in the past say that they don't see these take profit levels, and this is most likely because they're trading on a lower time frame, such as like the 3 minute, for example. So if you look at the 3 minute, you're of course not going to have as much movement because obviously a stock doesn't move more than like 1% intraday. So if you're on a higher time frame, of course, you'll see that the take profit 1 is indicated for 2% since the buy signal or the long signal. So if I roughly measure here, you'll see that it went up 2%, and this candle shows the TP2, which means it's been 2% since the signal. Same thing goes for the TP2, which is 5%. So if I measure this correctly, it should go right at 5%. So at this candle, we reached 5% and then plotted that little signal. So obviously, if I go back to the 3 minute, that's not going to be the case, right? Because this signal didn't ever reach a 1%, or sorry, a 2% of profit to hit that TP1, because we're on a lower time frame, and lower time frames don't move in one direction like the higher time frames, which filters out all that mini micro movement. So if you still want TP on a low time frame for scalping or like day trading, you can change this to a decimal value for let's say 0.3, and then that should appear since 0.3 of the signal on this long signal right here. Once that recalculates the script, we should give that a second. And then here we go, we have 0.3% bang on this candle right here. Next thing we're going to go and look at is the support and resistance adjustment. So for this example, I'll be going back to the 1 hour just to show you much better, and then go over these settings. So the first setting is the pivot length. So if I look at the eye icon, it's going to say that it's the value needed to plot a line. The higher the number, the less lines it will plot. So basically, if you turn this number lower, you'll see every point where a stock is likely to turn. But if you turn it higher, you'll filter out the little small micro movements and find the big ones, which is what we have as a default of 25. Next thing is the look back display. So basically, it's going to calculate back 250 candles, plot the pivot points and the support and resistance for those candles. But let's say I wanted to find a support resistance from the all-time high of Apple at this point right here. I could obviously go back lots more candles, such as like 600, which is quite a bit, but it's going to plot also many more lines once that loads. Just gives it a moment. You can see that it's thinking up here, and then we'll see that the lines are now plotted for further back. So I'm just going to change that to reduce the strain on the script itself. And then the next thing we have is the support resistance color. Of course, this is just another way to give you the option to change it to your liking. And lastly is how thick you like the support and resistance lines to be. So there we go. Of course, we've already shown you the screener, so that's all the options we provide. We can now show you how to set alerts for Cobra Algo. So if you select over this 3 little dots, click Add Alert, you'll see that we give you the option for many like parts of the script where you can get an alert on your phone or your mobile app to let you know when to enter or exit a position. So make sure that that Cobra Algo is selected. Then we can give you the option to long or short. So basically it's going to tell you anytime there's either a long or short signal based on the stock or crypto or anything you're looking at and the time frame. So make sure that you select once per bar close. You can notify on your app, and it's going to tell you instructions on how to do that. So once you do that, you can follow those instructions, send an email, and make sure you name your alert. So in this case, I have the Apple and the 1 hour, so I'll name it the Apple 1 hour, and then if I want to, I can also include the sensitivity that I have, which is 40 and 20 in the default, so I can write that. So I'm not forgetting if I go ahead and change sensitivities on another chart. From here, you can write a custom message or leave it as default, and then it will create. It's going to give you this warning. This is basically due to the dashboard because that moves in real time. So the indicator does not repaint. All these signals will appear in real time, and once they appear, they will not disappear. So just be rest assured knowing that those will be accurate signals always, and you can always backtest the script by going into the past and looking at where they landed. So once you've created that alert, you can go into this little camera, or sorry, this icon here, the alarm clock, and then you can edit the alert here. So if I wanted to change how it was, you could do that. If you go to set another alert, so let's say I wanted for just the long stop loss, for example. If you're on the free TradingView plan, it's not going to let you do it, and it's going to give you this pop-up because TradingView only allows one alert per person. So be sure to use that alert wisely or consider upgrading to their TradingView plan, which is an extra fee, but it is completely free for a month. So you can try that out for that if you'd like yourself. Next thing you're going to want to do is, want to learn about is how to customize your chart and make it look all nice. So I'm just going to make everything default again by selecting default and resetting my settings. And that's just going to come out how it was in the box. And then I can click settings. And then if I find these little 000s and stuff to be annoying, I can head on over to to the status line, and then clicking indicator value. So it's just going to hide all of those that you don't need. Next thing is the appearance. So if I want to choose a different background, let's say gray, for example, I can change those colors and perform basically however you like for your chart to look to be the most aesthetic way as possible, of course. And then in this case, you can also change the colors of the candles themselves. So if I want to change the color of a candle, you can just hover over here, select this for green candles, and then this for white or red candles. Keep in mind that if you use the show bar colored candles here in Cobra Algo settings, it will replace it with the default green and white candles, but you can of course change this in Cobra Algo settings. So if I go over in these settings, you'll see that here we can change the bar colors of the trend indicators, and here for the bold colors, and then here for the red, or the weak colors, sorry. So let's look back at what we selected, and now, of course, the colors are now my own. It looks like it's yellow when you scroll out because this is what the border color is. So if you find that confusing, just disable borders completely, and everything will be good to go. So that's everything with Cobra Algo. If you have any questions, feel free to message the website, and they'll be able to respond pretty quickly. Or you could contact us through Discord or any other fashion, and we'll be happy to help you with any of your questions or concerns. So thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.